This talk is about identifying spurious correlations in neural networks. Spurious correlations cause models to use incorrect features. In this classic example, a classifier fails to predict cow when the background of a cow is not in a field, implying the model spuriously correlated pasture with cow. The stakes are high. We need to build medical AI tools that are right for the right reasons. A study found that showing fake, incorrect AI predictions to physicians made their performance significantly worse. We need to identify and correct these spurious correlations. So what counterfactuals are we talking about? For an input image and a classifier, we want to find an image that reduces the prediction, but we don't want an adversarial attack image. We want the image to be similar to the input, and we want it to remain on the data manifold. For this, we use the latent shift generation method, which uses a latent variable model to restrict the movement on the data manifold. Counterfactuals are generated by using the gradient computed from the output with respect to the latent space, defining a vector that we can walk to change the classifier prediction. A point is selected where the classifier crosses a decision boundary using iterative search. We can see here that we're able to take this input image and remove smiling as well as increase smiling with respect to the classifier. In this work, we present counterfactual alignment. The idea is to compute counterfactuals for a base classifier, and then present these images to another classifier to see how it responds. If the second classifier changes its prediction, then there is shared feature usage between the classifiers and a potential spurious correlation. We can plot the predictions of these classifiers to visualize their relationship. The plot is relative to the base classifier. We can see as the base classifier's prediction is reduced, the second classifier's prediction is also reduced, indicating a relationship. We can also quantify this relationship using the relative change in their predictions, seen in this equation. While the relative change is unbounded, it's typically between -1 and 1, 0 indicating no relationship. In this example, we look at a classifier that predicts smiling. The counterfactual causes the smiling classifier to reduce its prediction, but the arched eyebrows classifier doesn't change its prediction at all. The relative change for this sample is 0.01. There is no spurious correlation for this example. To evaluate how well this method works, we can construct a classifier with a known bias of arched eyebrows. Repeating this analysis with the bias classifier, we can observe in the counterfactual image as well as the CF alignment plot that eyebrows are also changing. This produces a relative change of 0.97, confirming the spurious relationship here. We can take a look at a pointy nose classifier on two examples here. We see in the images that the nose becomes larger in the counterfactual. The CF alignment plot shows alignment and inverse alignments. We see in both cases, big nose is inverse aligned. These plots are informative, but can also be difficult to reason about at scale when hunting for spurious correlations. We can study these relationships in aggregate over a dataset to identify trends to explore more. Here we see the average relative change between the classifiers over many samples. We can observe some intuitive relationships like pointy nose and big nose, as it is hard to change one without influencing the other. Another interesting observation is when we look at the correlations of the training labels. We might expect that if a correlation exists in the training data, then the model will learn that relationship. However, we observe a correlation between male and big nose in the training labels, shown in red to the right, yet we also observe the model doesn't learn a strong relationship between these features. To complement this, we see pointy nose and smiling, shown in green, not correlated in the training labels, but the model learns a relationship between them. CF alignment can be used to evaluate robust optimization methods, which aim to train models so they do not have such spurious correlations. GroupDRO is evaluated in the top right. we see a significant reduction in relative change and a noticeable increase in classification performance. FLAC is also evaluated in the lower right. We see a similar effect. We can dive further into the Waterbird's task used by GroupDRO. The Waterbird's task is to classify whether a bird is a water bird or a land bird, but the backgrounds of the images in the training data are biased to cause a model to look at the background to determine the class. We can visualize an example with the baseline classifier showing a spurious correlation with the water in the background. When the classifier is trained using GroupDRO, the relationship is not present anymore. Inspecting the features in the counterfactuals, we see the nostril size is significantly changed, which indicates the model is looking at it. It turns out seabirds have a large nostril to expel salt, which the model may be using to identify if the bird is near water. The conclusions of this work are that counterfactual alignment allows reasoning about feature relationships between classifiers. And we validate this by inducing spurious correlations and then observing them with this method. We also observe correlations in training data do not cause spurious correlations in models, and removing them doesn't prevent it. Our approach, CF alignment, provides visibility into robust optimization methods. CF alignment can be used to detect, quantify, and correct spurious correlations for image classification tests that lead to biased classifier outputs.